increase your own stock by protecting your privacy, making your information more scarce, therefore more valuable. Supply and demand, economics, scarcity. So maybe we do have UFOs. You know, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Wouldn't be the first time or the last. So, and again, that's a form of sincerity I think is very useful for broadcast. So, if the UFO report has been brought out for superficial appeasement, why would superficial appeasement be needed in this country at this time? I'm gonna pull out some Nietzsche here. Friedrich Nietzsche, German philosopher, 19th century. Wrote a lot of work. Had an incredible mustache. Have you ever seen that thing? It's like that's where they got the idea for the push broom. You know, one of those enormous things. I'm not exaggerating. Possibly the greatest mustache of all time. I've never really thought about it in those terms before, but Friedrich Nietzsche, pull up a photo of that guy. He didn't look very happy either. I'm not making any connections between mustaches and demeanor, but that's one hell of a mustache. Okay, so Nietzsche says, quote, "Everything the state says is a lie, and everything it has stolen," end quote. That quote from Nietzsche comes to you from Thus Spoke Zarathustra, a book for all and none, Part 1, Chapter 2, The New Idol, published in 4 parts between 1883 and 1891. Here's some more Nietzsche. He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. That quote comes to us from Beyond Good and Evil, aphorism, page 146. Thus, the man who is responsive to artistic stimuli reacts to the reality of dreams as does the philosopher to the reality of existence. He observes closely, and he enjoys his observation, for it is out of these images that he interprets life, out of these processes that he trains himself for life. Stands the state watching with a certain supervisory look on its face, making sure to remind everybody from time to time that it is the aim, the purpose, the essence of this whole strange process. Okay, final Nietzsche quote, and then we're going to take a few phone calls. I'm just kidding. One will seldom go wrong if one attributes extreme actions to vanity, average ones to habit, petty ones to fear. See, I read Nietzsche, and should I better say I try to read Nietzsche. I was all fired up about reading Nietzsche, and I got Thus Spoke Zarathustra. And it was these one-liners. It's not a one-liner, but he lays this stuff on you, or my impression, he says stuff that just sends me off. I have to sit and process a whole sentence for like a minute before I go on to the next sentence. And then you try to put together a paragraph. It took me a very, very long time to read. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a unique thing. Somebody claims this or that. Well, that's boring. Nietzsche makes you relate two different ideas or three different ideas together in ways that challenge your perception of how things work and how things are structured. So let me go back to a couple of these quotes because I think they're worth repeating. He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. So if you decide you will be the polar opposite to something, you've kind of made yourself the exact same thing, only a negative image of it. But a negative is just one step away from the original, isn't it? So he who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. Yeah, careful. You got to know when to say when, you know. Friends, don't let friends become monsters. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. And let's ponder oblivion. Oblivion, the abyss, a black hole, this absolute nothingness. Yes, you can dwell on that. It's not hard. The key is you got to be able to step away from the abyss. It's one of those things like, you know, when you're a kid and you want to find out things for yourself. You've been told, you know, cigarettes or alcohol is not good for you, and you try them anyway. And you say, hey, I kind of like cigarettes and alcohol and coffee. And then you say, maybe I should stop trying new things. Because there are certain things in life that you just, not even once, there are some things, as curious I am, as much as I love finding out things for myself, rather than taking someone else's word for it. As much as I love finding out things for myself, thankfully I was smart enough to learn from the lessons of others about what to avoid. Pitfalls in life. Gazing into the abyss is one philosophical way of saying that, yes, we all face the same possibility. And if our existence ceases after we stop converting oxygen into carbon dioxide, what is our existential reality then? Is the time after you die, is it maybe the same as before you were born? You just have no idea. That seems the most likely outcome to me. However, I wish I knew which book it was. It's either the Vedas or the Upanishads from India, and I don't even remember the names. Bad philosophy podcaster, bad. But the quote is, the God or the half-God says to the human, there are more worlds than the one you can hold in your hand. And that's really, really worth considering. So if someone said, hey, we found out for sure there's other dimensions, okay, great. Hey, we found out for sure there's other universes. Okay, fabulous. You know, time travel is possible. Okay, sure. I lean against those things, but I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time, and it wouldn't be the last. And if you can say that out loud and say those words to another human being, I think you will find engagements become a bit more civil, or at least have the possibility to. After all, that's what Socrates leaned on. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but more so, Socrates was, I don't understand. When nearly anyone would tell him nearly anything, he would drive them mad and say, I don't understand. Yes, but I understand you say this, but if this, then why that? Okay, so an additional idea is introduced. Okay, well, if that new idea is the case, then why this? And a new idea is introduced. And Socrates drove everybody freaking mad. The powers to be sentenced him to death for his ideas, for his insistence that he did not know, and he did not understand another person's point of view, and no other person's point of view could survive his scrutiny. And when the time came for Socrates to drink his hemlock, and his dear followers said, "Flee to another town, we'll help you," Socrates said, "No, the same thing would just happen there." Now, I've always been fascinated by the idea that Socrates may not have been an actual historical figure. Maybe he was a UFO. I don't know if he ever got aerial or not. But I guess we've identified him. I don't know, but Socrates said, "No, if you send me to another town, the same thing will happen there. You know, I can't stop asking my questions. I can't just accept everything I'm told. I am curious. I want to know. This seems important. I am paying attention. I'm trying to find out more." And perhaps this even takes us back to the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. The fruit of the tree of knowledge, something like that, right? Do not eat the forbidden fruit. It will not make you happy. It will make you miserable. So knowledge and information is a burden that not everybody wants to take on. You have your current means of information, how you're currently informed. You have that to go on. Will you change? Can you ignore the fact that there is an ocean of information out there and you're being fed with an eyedropper and it ain't always water? Again, for a browser, any blockchain browser is good. I like Brave. For email, you can use Proton Mail. Set up an account for free. Take you 15 seconds. For instant messaging, Signal is very popular. Brave browser has also launched a search engine, Brave Search. I'm going to pull it up right now. Boy, this is a special one-time offer right here. I'm just going to search something random. Tell you what comes up. Let's search, I was talking crap on Andromeda. Andromeda Galaxy, and I should probably be a little conciliatory. I realize the Andromeda Galaxy has had problems of its own, and I think some of their leadership over there in the Andromeda Galaxy, I feel bad because I think the common person in the Andromeda Galaxy is probably a good person that just wants to work and raise a family and help their fellow alien. I wonder if they got grays. There's grays and greens, right? But, okay, so your average person in the Andromeda Galaxy is not a bad person. They could probably just use a little bit better leadership. I think they're probably very oppressed over there in the Andromeda Galaxy. There are widespread reports of slavery and abuses of intelligent life over there in the Andromeda Galaxy. So we feel for the people in the Andromeda Galaxy. And although it looks like we're going to collide in 4 million years, it's nothing personal. So with that, let me say thank you very much for spending your time with me and us here on the Steel Plaza podcast. This has been episode 22 of Andy's Philosophy Corner.